You step into the first apartment. A 75-inch screen dominates the wall, a leather sectional still smells new, and the closet doors barely close over clothes with tags still on. This one is Tyler's. He checks his balance every morning with his stomach tight, 2 missed paychecks from disaster. Down the hall, the second apartment feels calm instead of cluttered. Its owner earns less than Tyler and sleeps better, because they discovered something Tyler never calculated. Every single thing you own bills you twice, and only one of those charges ever shows up on a receipt. Stay with me, because by the end you'll know the exact second price of everything sitting in your own closet right now, and the rules that quietly separate people who always have money from people who never do. Here's the number nobody puts on the receipt. You pay once at the register, then you keep paying for as long as you own the thing, in ways almost nobody adds up in real time. Call it the second price. It is rent for the space something takes up, the maintenance it demands, the mental bandwidth it eats, and the return you gave up by not putting that money somewhere else instead. Take a treadmill. The sticker price is the easy part. What almost nobody calculates is the real estate. Storage space in most American cities runs somewhere between $30 and $50 per square foot every year. A treadmill, with the clearance you actually need around it, eats close to 20 square feet. That is $600 to $1,000 a year, every year, to store a machine that mostly ends up holding laundry. Now take something bigger. Marine industry estimates put annual maintenance on a boat at roughly 10% of its value every single year, whether it ever touches water or not. A $30,000 boat costs about $3,000 a year just to exist in a driveway. Run that for a decade and the boat has quietly billed its owner another $30,000 on top of the original purchase. Then there is a cost nobody can put a clean number on, though researchers keep circling it anyway. Clutter studies out of cognitive science labs link visual disorder in a home to measurably higher cortisol and a documented drop in the brain's ability to focus. Your possessions are taxing your attention, whether you notice the withdrawal or not. And the largest charge of all is the one that never shows up anywhere on paper: opportunity cost. $15,000 spent on a home gym is $15,000 that never went into an index fund, where a reasonable long-run average would have grown it to somewhere near $50,000 over 15 years. Nobody buys just the equipment. They buy the equipment instead of a future $50,000 cushion, and almost nobody does that math before the card gets swiped. Add all 4 of these together, and plenty of things cost more to keep than they ever cost to buy. The price tag is only the entry fee. Once you can see the second price, you start seeing it everywhere. In the garage, in the spare bedroom, in the subscription that renews itself every month without a single reminder. It stops being an abstract idea and starts being a running total. 8 decisions get a lot clearer once that total is visible. The first is cost per use, and it is the filter I run before money leaves an account. Estimate honestly how many times you will actually use the thing, then divide the price by that number. A $200 jacket worn twice costs $100 a wear. A $400 jacket worn 200 times costs $2 a wear. The expensive jacket is the cheaper purchase, and almost nobody's instincts work that way by default. Run the same filter on a $2,000 mattress used every night for 10 years, and it settles around 55 cents a night for something that touches your health every single day. Run it on the countertop gadget that comes out twice a year, and a $300 version costs $150 a use in its first year alone. The math does not care about the packaging or the marketing copy. It just tells you the truth. If the second price idea is already changing how you look at your own closet, a like helps this reach somebody else who needs to run the same math. The second filter is the replacement test, and it is uncomfortable by design. Walk through your home and ask, item by item, if this disappeared tonight, would I actually spend money to replace it? Not the fondue set nobody has touched since a wedding shower. Not the bread machine growing dust behind the mixer. Not the 18 months untouched clothes hanging like inventory in a store that never opens. For most items, the honest answer is no. They are not there by decision. They are there by inertia, by an impulse buy. by a gift you felt obligated to keep. Every one of those items carries a negative balance. It costs space, attention, and cleaning time, and returns nothing. A survey of professional organizers puts the average home at roughly 10 to 15% true clutter by item count. Once owners actually go through everything shelf by shelf, instead of guessing. People who run the replacement test regularly report the same result afterward. Rooms feel bigger, decisions get simpler, and they can find things again. Because everything left in the house has an actual job. Estate sale professionals will tell you the same thing from the other end. The average household resells its accumulated belongings for a small fraction of what was originally spent, which means most of that second price was never coming back in any form. The third filter guards against the most expensive habit in personal finance, upgrading something that already works. The television is fine, but the new model has better contrast. The phone makes calls and runs every app needed, but a marginally sharper camera just shipped. None of that is failure. That is boredom wearing a disguise. Industry data on phone replacement cycles puts the average American at a new phone every 2 to 3 years, frequently while the old one still works without complaint. Run that single habit across 30 years, and it adds up to somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000 in purchases that were never necessary, and that is only phones. Apply the same pattern across cars, furniture, and electronics, and the lifetime total for upgrade culture easily clears $200,000. The only legitimate trigger for replacement is genuine mechanical failure. Boredom and the mere existence of something newer do not qualify, no matter how convincing the ad felt. If you have not hit subscribe yet, this is a good moment. We break down one of these blind spots every week. The fourth filter has nothing to do with willpower, because willpower runs out by 4 in the afternoon on most days. It is about environment. Make spending require friction. Delete the saved card numbers. Build in a 24-hour wait on anything non-essential. Delete the shopping apps. Unsubscribe from the emails built purely to manufacture urgency. Then make saving require none at all. Automatic transfers the day the paycheck lands, before the number ever shows up in checking where it is easy to touch. That 24-hour rule alone has been shown to eliminate somewhere around 70% of impulse purchases, because most desire for an object fades within a day if it is not acted on immediately. People who rely on discipline in the moment eventually lose when they are tired, stressed, or emotional. People who deleted the app in advance simply cannot lose because the decision already got made back when they were thinking clearly. Behavioral finance research on automatic enrollment consistently shows the same pattern. Participation and savings rates jump dramatically the moment saving becomes the default instead of a decision. Because a default nobody has to act on is a default nobody talks themselves out of. The fifth filter is counting, and it sounds excessive until you actually try it once. Pick one category, count every item in it. Write the number down before you look anything up. Most people guess low on their own shirt count by a factor of 3 or 4, and the gap between the guess and the real number is exactly where the awakening happens. Once you know you own 47 shirts, the 48th stops feeling like a purchase and starts feeling like an expansion of a collection you never meant to build. People who track categories over time tend to set caps, maybe 30 pieces of clothing at once, maybe 15 books on the shelf, maybe a rule where anything new coming in means something old has to leave. A regular audit of your own kitchen alone tends to surface, on average, several dozen dollars a month in subscriptions and gadgets nobody remembers signing up for. Limits create the friction that unlimited space never will. If you want us to run this accounting on a situation closer to your own, tell us in the comments and we will build the next one around it. The sixth filter delays ownership until the enthusiasm proves itself honest. Thinking about camping? Rent the gear for the first 2 trips. Curious about woodworking? Borrow tools before you own a single one. Want a kayak? Rent it 4 or 5 times before you buy anything. This accomplishes 2 things at once. It tells you honestly whether the interest is real or just a passing mood, and it tells you exactly what you will actually need, instead of the oversized starter kit most first-timers buy and then quietly abandon within a season. Garages across the country function as quiet museums of exactly this mistake. Ski gear from a winter that never repeated, camera equipment from a hobby that lasted one summer, instruments from a band that played 2 shows and broke up. Testing an interest costs a fraction of owning the wrong version of it, and resale data on abandoned hobby equipment consistently shows owners recovering well under half of what they originally paid. Rental and sharing platforms exist for almost every one of these categories now, and a handful of weekend rentals will always be cheaper than one abandoned purchase sitting in a corner of the garage for years. The 7th filter is understanding that no purchase is really a single purchase. A boat needs a trailer, a hitch-capable vehicle, storage, insurance, and gear. A home gym needs flooring, mirrors, ventilation, and often a small renovation to make the space work. A pool needs chemicals, covers, furniture, and landscaping to match the installation. This is the multiplier effect, and it means the $5,000 item on the price tag is frequently an $8,000 or $12,000 decision once the whole ecosystem gets counted honestly. It runs in reverse too. Sell the boat, and you do not just recover its value, you also eliminate the storage fee, the insurance, the registration, and the towing costs that came bundled with it from the start. One elimination can quietly erase an entire category of monthly expense that never had its own line item to begin with. If seeing the real math behind purchases like this is useful to you, subscribing means you catch the next breakdown the moment it goes up. The 8th filter is the one that traps high earners specifically, because income without a target just becomes a treadmill. Every raise gets absorbed by a lifestyle upgrade. The upgrade becomes the new normal, and the next raise gets absorbed the exact same way. That is why someone earning $300,000 a year can feel just as stretched as someone earning $80,000. Their expectations grew at the same rate their income did. The people who escape this decide, in advance, exactly where the line sits. Call it the enough line. A home at $350,000 is enough, even if the pre-approval letter says $600,000. A $30,000 car is enough, even parked next to a coworker's $70,000 one. Draw that line before the income arrives, and every dollar earned past it flows straight to savings instead of upkeep. Someone who sets the line at $60,000 a year in spending, then grows their income to $150,000, is investing a $90,000 gap every single year without ever feeling deprived. Someone who never draws the line just moves it every time the income moves, and tends to end up saving almost nothing at either number. Surveys of high earners consistently find the same uncomfortable result. A large share of people making well into 6 figures report living paycheck to paycheck, not because the income is insufficient, but because the enough line was never drawn in the first place. If any part of this changed how you will look at your next purchase, send it to somebody who is still one impulse buy away from the wrong apartment. Here is the filter that sits above all the others. Measure wealth by what you can choose, not by what you can display. Can you leave a job that is wrecking your health? Can you take half a year off for a family emergency? Can you say no to money that costs you your own values? Those choices are only available to people who have built real distance between what they earn and what they spend. Call it the optionality account, and it only grows once the second price starts getting paid attention to. Someone earning $200,000 a year and spending $195,000 of it has almost no optionality, no matter how the apartment looks from the hallway. Someone earning $80,000 and spending $45,000 has more freedom than most high earners will ever touch. The equity sitting in a house bigger than you need, or the loan payment on a car you did not need to finance, is not wealth sitting in reserve. It is wealth that already got spent, on square footage and horsepower, instead of on your own future decisions. Ask a room full of retirees what they wish they had done differently, and the answer almost never involves the car they didn't buy. It almost always involves the years they traded working a job they didn't like, because the monthly payments made leaving impossible. Go back to those 2 apartments down the same hallway. Tyler's is not a story about a bad person. or somebody reckless with money. It is a story about somebody who never ran the accounting, who let years of small, reasonable-feeling purchases quietly bill him twice for each one, until the whole paycheck belonged to the maintenance of a lifestyle instead of to him. The apartment next door is not a story about a higher income. It is a story about somebody who asked, every single time, what a purchase would actually cost once every hidden bill came due, and decided most of them were not worth it. Both of those apartments are available to you, regardless of what is sitting on your pay stub right now. The only real question is whether you own what is inside your own walls, or whether it quietly owns you. Run the accounting, and the answer usually settles itself.